Hello. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode, the last episode of 2025 of Just Kira Davis. And really haven't been that many this year. I ended my old podcast, Just Listen to Yourself. Some of you are fans. And I just casually started this one while I get my bearings underneath me. I'm moving into a new phase of life. My followers understand this, they know this, and they're just waiting to see what I land on. I got a bunch of projects in the works. 2026 is fixing to be a big year for me. I got all dressed up today. I have nowhere to go, everybody. I have nowhere to go. It's raining in Southern California, which basically means, that's like a snowstorm. But also, my husband has the flu. I know a lot of you were looking forward to DJ Dad. He was gonna do a live set from the driveway. We really were planning on that, but he got the flu, and it's like he's been down for a week. And my son went to visit some friends in the Midwest. I have an 18-year-old daughter, so I'm definitely not cool enough to hang out with her this New Year's Eve. And my bestie is sick. So, you know what? I decided if I want to, you know, have a good time on New Year's Eve and have a reason to get dressed up, I need to make that reason up for myself. So I'm dressing up for you guys. Happy New Year. I decided to get fabulous just for you, just to ring in 2026. I pulled out my sassiest wig for y'all today. I've got my very special flower on. Oops. She's a little wilty today. And I'm wearing sparkles. For the golden age, everybody. 2026 is upon us. And so today I just thought I would do a countdown of the top 5, what I think are the top 5 Trump trolls of 2025. I was trying to think about what I wanted to do. Top 5 stories, top 5 good stories, top 5 bad stories. There's been a lot of good and bad stuff. And I thought, I don't know, this kind of hit it all, right? You get the stories, you get to have a little fun because a lot of serious stuff happened in 2025 too. It started out really exciting, but when Charlie was killed in September, I think it all got really real. I know it did for me. I know that's the day. For me, 2025 is a marker. That's the day. And I bet a lot of my fans can tell too that that's the day when I just decided I'd had enough. And I'm out of graciousness and tolerance and all of it. I'm tired of holding my tongue, and I don't hold my tongue. I know a lot of people know me as straightforward, but there are some things I hold myself back from saying, not because I don't think they're true or need to be said, but because I don't trust myself to say them. Because I am a follower of Christ, and all of the nice parts of me and all of the good parts of me that you see, that's really not Kira, that's Jesus. And so I always like to I hold my tongue a lot because I'm always afraid, what you're hearing is Kira and not Jesus. But I think that there's a season for everything. There's a season for everything. So I I just I want to turn the page on 2025, but the Kira that's moving into 2026 doesn't feel so kind anymore. I think we're at war. I've been saying it for a while now. I think that's becoming more and more evident. I don't want this to be too heavy of a podcast. It's the end of your podcast, but heavy things happen in 2025. So before we get to the fun stuff, I do just want to say that I think 2025 is a clarifying moment for me. I think for Americans, for Christians, for the church, for the globe, really, we see what we're up against, and it's looking more and more like it's going to be us against everybody else. And that means we need to know who our tribe is, and we need to know who we can trust. We need to know who it's going to be okay to be in the foxhole with. And I think that's what you're seeing going on out there as everybody's arguing. We're pruning. We're figuring out who we can trust to move forward in this battle. And you're starting to see that this is a battle. It is a war. And if I had a lesson from 2025 going into 2026, it would be never give up. Because now I'm old enough to have some years. And I've been coming up in this business almost 20 years now. And I've watched a lot of celebrities come and go on this side of the aisle. And it's been frustrating as someone who's sort of been toiling away in obscurity. Even now, there are a lot of people who are like, I've never seen you before. I never heard you before, even though I have a 20-year career. It's just, you never know what's gonna break through, but also I was raising kids at the same time too. I wasn't fully committed to a career. There were people who walked beside me and gave me many opportunities along the way, and for that, I'm grateful. That's why I'm sitting here. Those people are the only reason I'm sitting here. They sort of kept my career running while I was really primarily raising kids. That part of my life is over, so I think I'm about to hit overdrive here. All that to say that there were many times when it felt pointless what we were doing. I started a lot of you aren't even gonna know the name now, which seems crazy to me, but I started in the Breitbart days. Andrew Breitbart was who inspired us all, and we toiled back in those days on a lot of obscure stories that just died. We told them to each other on the right, but we didn't have the same apparatus that we have now, the same social media apparatus, the same this down a little bit, see my boobs better, I guess. The same, but we didn't have the same apparatus for things going viral. And so it was harder to get the story out. We were still very siloed. Andrew did a great job. If you go to my site, justkiradavis.com, and you go to last year, go to 2024, you're going to find a story on JD Vance. Remember when JD Vance, he was running and he got off the tarmac. He was coming into Milwaukee. And he landed on the same tarmac as Kamala. And so all of the reporters were, of course, waiting for her plane. Nobody wanted to talk to JD at that time. And so he decided to take advantage of the moment and waltzed over there since the cameras were there and began talking to them about the campaign and about why, why we need to make America great again. And it was a brilliant moment that reminded me of Andrew Breitbart and who he was and what he did particularly during the Anthony Weiner debacle. So go back and read that. Again, although Andrew's reporting at that time had some important effectiveness, there were still a lot of stories that just went to die. They covered them, but they never came to fruition. Even the Republicans sort of poo-pooed them away. It went on to be business as usual. And I've seen things like that now come and go. I look at Andy No up there in Vancouver, who has just been toiling away in relative obscurity, right? Some of us in the business on the right know Andy No, and some of you who are paying attention to his niche reporting, it's not niche, it's Antifa, it's really important. But some of you know, but mainstream America does not know Andy No, and they should. He's been holding the line and reporting on Antifa and this trans cult and all of this for years. He's been attacked. His attackers were let out by Portland police, by Seattle police. He's been besmirched. He's been squatted. Horrible things have happened to Andy No. And he's been doing his job in obscurity for years. But you know what? If he hadn't have been doing that, Nick surely wouldn't have been doing his job, right? I believe you could draw a direct line, even if Nick didn't know who Andy was or didn't know who Andrew Breitbart was. Those are the guys that inspired the Nick Shirleys, that built the platforms that could push out the messages of the Nick Shirleys, that primed the audience for the Nick Shirleys. There's no Nick Shirley without Andrew Breitbart, for sure. There's no Nick Shirley without Andy No. And what's happening with Nick is that suddenly you're seeing hundreds and thousands of people from across the country go, well, gee, is there a daycare in my area? My ex-friend, I mean, we don't know each other in real life, but she's Kristen Mag. She went online after, watching Nick's report and watching some other people on X also doing that same thing. She went online, looked into what was going on with the daycare centers near her, and lo and behold, uncovered a bunch of fraud just from her computer, and Elon reposted her off to the races. Suddenly people are looking into assisted elderly care facilities, Medicare, of course. This is a house of cards, and I think it's coming down. But I can't tell you how many people I've seen leave the movement over the years because they've had enough. They've had enough, and they're depressed, and I can't tell you how many times I've left the movement. I quit every other week. You can ask my old producer, Dario. I probably called him every other week. Like, I quit. When Candace came along, I really wanted to quit. It's been almost 10 years banging the drum on Candace, about 7. I really wanted to quit. I really felt like I had cultivated all of these relationships. And it's really hard to be a Black conservative. It is. And in the business, and I cultivated all these relationships and felt like she just came and smashed everything. And I couldn't believe how willingly some of the people that I respected let her smash those relationships. And it felt hurtful. And it made me wonder what, you know, am I doing the right thing? Maybe my motives are bad and that's why these stories aren't breaking through. And there's tons of stories like that. Scott Presser today posted, you know what? Look at this voter fraud in Minnesota. Here is literal voter fraud. I'm filing a claim. I'm filing a report. Al Franken won in 2008 with 312 votes, and there's evidence that there was 500,000 fraudulent votes. Well, those of us who are my age remember this story. Rush Limbaugh covered this story. He covered it every day for years. He talked about this for years. Literal ballots in a trunk. Ballots in a trunk. It became a meme almost before we had memes. It was a joke. I mean, probably you could go dig into it and see. I bet the Rush Limbaugh archives have some sort of Rob Carson. You do. Rob Carson does Newsmax Radio. He was Trump's funny guy. He wrote a lot of Trump's comedy sketches and he recorded all the voiceovers. And go ask Rob Carson. I bet that there is some Rush Limbaugh sketch on the ballots, the ballots in the trunk for Al Franken. We were beating that drum all the way back then, Scott Pressler. But who wanted to hear the story? We were all siloed in right-wing media. We really didn't have the power of the internet like it is today. We told each other the story, but thank God we did, because now it's on record. So now Scott Pressler, who is in the age of viral moments and social media and who is experienced and doing the work, and now is a guy who not only has the platform to share these stories, but has the audience, people who really respect him and will hear what he says. Now he has access to all this information. All the people who fought that battle then kept it alive. It matters. This is what I'm saying. It matters to stay in the fight. This is why I'm not ready to give up on California. I'm not ready. It matters. If you quit too soon, you're not going to be there to see the promised land. If we quit in 2020, we wouldn't have seen the miraculous victory in 2024. And we wouldn't be sitting here now talking about sitting on the precipice of an incredible golden age for America. And I believe that's true. And I've searched myself. I've searched my heart for a while on this because I don't want to be a MAGA cultist. And I don't want to be, I know I might sound like that to certain people, but I don't want to be that person. And I'm not. And I do think that actually requires just sort of searching yourself every day, but also staying rooted in the word. But I want to make sure that I'm looking at things from the most reasonable position possible. And I think I am. And I see very scary things on the horizon. What's going on in New York City, it's going to be rough going out there. I think the Muslims have taken over and we're going to have to deal with the Muslim problem. And that's going to be painful. That's going to be painful. But I also see I believe Scott Bessent when I hear him talking. I see a huge economic boom on the horizon. I see a huge cultural boom. And when you ask, how is President Trump going to deport 30 million or 50 million people in 4 years, 3 years? How is he going to do that? It's impossible. How is he going to wrestle back the culture in 3 years, 2 years, however? It's impossible. I'll tell you how it happens. It happens with Nick Shirley. It happens with Andy No. It happens with Harmeet Dillon. It happens with you. It happens with Nick Shirley's sidekick, David. That guy who told that story and took those reports and found that evidence year after year after year after year after year. He did that, toiling away in obscurity. Nobody paid attention to him. One kid took the right kid. It couldn't have just been any kid. It took the right kid at the right time. And he didn't know when that person was going to come along, and still he did it because it was the right thing to do. My friend Nick Searcy made a movie about January 6th, and nobody, even on our side, very few people would talk to him about that film. Nobody wanted to touch that topic with a 10-foot pole, even up until Election Day, really. It's okay to talk about it now. Nick really got muted by his own side because of that movie, but guess what? We're going to find the J6 stuff is nowhere near over, by the way. we've got a million crises going on at once, but it's nowhere near over. There's a lot more evidence to come, and that I happen to know. And I think that Nick's going to have his day. So to me, the lesson of 2025 is don't give up. Even when it looks impossible, don't give up. California, don't give up. Don't give up. Hold the line. In 2013, when we adopted the transgender curriculum in California, me and my mom friends were screaming at the top of our lungs. We went on every radio show we could, every cable show we could. We wrote about it. We reported about it. No one heard us. No one listened to us. Everyone called us crazy. And then we had to move on to the next crisis. Well, in 2025, suddenly that curriculum is coming to fruition, and everyone's going, where have the parents been? What's going on? Well, we were there. We were, but we lost. But we didn't give up. We moved on to other things. And now there's tons of other moms in the game with us now. And they're doing way more work than we could have done at that time. And they're way more successful than we could have been at that time. They're building on what we started, and they don't even know it. And by the way, you have to be okay with that, right? You have to be okay with not getting credit. I'm seeing a lot of influencers out there really struggling with this. And I want you to know I see you, and I know that it's hard, but also, it's okay to take the lesson in humility as well. Some influencers get carried away with the attention, but it's okay. It's okay to say, it was my battle to start, but it was not my battle to send into the atmosphere or to make viral or to finish. That's okay. It really is. It's okay for us to feel like we played a part. All right. You know what? Let's move on before I could talk all day. It's New Year's. I look great. I'm going to go down to get a little party in the park. This is a dress. This is a whole dress. Whole dress. Yeah, it's a whole dress. So, and yes, I am going down to the party in the little pocket park for the kids, dressed just like this, because I got nothing to do. Everyone has the flu in this house, and look how fabulous I look. Someone has to see it, not just you guys. Okay, I wanted to talk today about top 5 trolls of 2025, Trump trolls of 2025. Let's start with, these are in no particular order, by the way. What I thought was one of my favorite Trump trolls is Trump at the State of the Union / joint session speech, I guess. And he introduced little DJ Daniel. Remember DJ? I mean, he's still out there. DJ, the hardest working man in America. DJ has like 18 jobs. He has more jobs than Marco Rubio. Let's see, he's got a Secret Service certificate. He works for several, I think a dozen or more police departments across the United States. He's got Border Patrol certification. He's got, I think Navy. Did I see him? Yeah. DJ is a hard working brother. And we know DJ continues to struggle with his health, but he's out there serving America, and we appreciate him. But as you remember, Trump stood at this joint sessions speech, and he said, look, I could do anything. I could cure cancer. And they would still not cheer.
This is my fifth such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what.
Because this sets up basically Trump's entire term, really. And it's been this way since day one. But basically what he does is he sets up a moral choice, and he doesn't force them, but they do it. He forces Democrats to take the worst position and defend the worst people. He says, I could cure cancer, and you wouldn't stand, you wouldn't do anything. And then the camera pans to all those sour faces. I mean, it almost seems quaint then. Almost quaint. Charlie was alive. They were just keying Teslas. They weren't killing people yet. Almost quaint. And then he points to DJ up there and he says, we're giving DJ, look, DJ's awesome. Look how cute he is. And like, what an inspiring story. We're giving him an honorary employment in the Secret Service. The Dems still sitting there with their little paddles. He made them root against a 12-year-old boy with cancer. He made them root against him. They couldn't even bear to just give a little clap. It was shocking and really a self-own. I think that was one of the first moments, I think, when I really realized how deep the Democrats were in this, how deep they were in it, that they just were, now they're a different party now. They're different people. They're not us. I'm concerned, and this is what I keep saying. I keep saying they can't be allowed to win next fall or in 2028. We do need a two-party system. Trump has said this often. I quite agree with him. I've always said it. The two-party system is a superior system, and we do need it. I don't want and Rush Limbaugh always used to say this. I've been thinking about him a lot today because a lot of his predictions he made so many years ago are coming true. But I think about him. I'm thinking about him today. And, he said, what did he say? What was I talking about? I literally, it just totally went out my mind. New York City, I don't know. It's Trump derangement syndrome is the point. I'll think about what Rush said later. All right, we can skip that one. All right, let's move on to let me just wrap this thought up by saying this, that it's been this way ever since, right? And I think that was the first moment. And it was silly then. It was a little bit angry, but it was silly then. But we just didn't understand the depth of rot in the Democrat soul. That was before they started murdering people. It's so much more serious now. And Mamdani is about to take the oath of office in New York City, and he's going to be swearing on a Quran. And if you don't think that's an act of war, you haven't been paying attention. Let's get on to, okay, the fourth. I think these are in no, I'll just say number two. These are literally in no particular order, but one of the best Trump troll moments, I think, in my opinion, of 2025 is the Presidential Walk of Fame.
So these new plaques have just been added to the so-called Presidential Walk of Fame. They almost read, some of them, like Truth Social posts, including the ones under President Obama's that says he was one of the most divisive political figures in American history. Under President Biden's, it describes him as sleepy Joe Biden and also says that he was the worst U.S. president in history. There are some that are nicer, including under Ronald Reagan's, for example, where President Trump says at the end that he was a fan of Trump's long before he ran for president. The White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt says the president actually hand-wrote some of these plaques himself. So these new plaques have just been added to the so-called presidential.
All right. Okay. I think it's hilarious. A lot of people are not, a lot of people on my side don't think that the presidential wall is as funny. And a lot of people, you know what? There's a lot of sour conservatives on our side. I was saying yesterday, well, if you didn't see my video yesterday, you should go watch that. I read the New York Times article on MTG and I gave a little, I think a personality breakdown of what I think is going on there. And you'll get a lot out of it. But one of the things I was saying yesterday was that Trump's a clarifying fire. He's a clarifying person. There's something about his personality that he makes people more of who they are when they're around him. That's why you see people kind of glom onto him, and he might even be really excited about them at first. And then you might have a blow up. He's had lots of blow ups over the years. And I know that usually gets attributed to him, to some kind of personality problem with him. But it might be, I literally do not know him. I've never met the man. I'm only guessing. But I also think part of it could be that he just is somebody who makes people more of who they are when they get to him. So in the beginning, people are able to maintain that facade of whatever it was they were giving to get them there. But he's a clarifying fire, and he just makes you be more of who you are. And if you're a whiny little bitch, that's what you're going to become. And eventually he's going to get tired of you. That's who Trump is. He's a refining fire, and that is who he is for everything. And so even on the conservative side, he is clarifying some conservatives, right? We're getting to see who's really gets it and who really was just in it for the influence or in it for the love of the game. Suddenly people are peeling off, changing their minds about things, even backstabbing in some cases. Right? Trump is making people on the conservative side be who they really are too. And I just think no one has to think the same way about everything. And I get it. You're like, we don't want things to be too distasteful. We want to maintain the dignity of the office. I feel like it's too late for that. That some other guy or gal is going to have to do that. That's not Trump. Trump's the fire. He's burning it all down. He's the truth teller. He's the mirror. So I'm all for changing those plaques out like that. And I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious that he wrote it. And why shouldn't he? Who says it has to be very dignified and upscale and hoity-toity? Why can't they be cartoon plates if that's what the president wants? The next guy can change it. And the next guy probably will. But there's nothing wrong with A, being a little irreverent, but B, people don't ever talk about it. And the contrarian conservative class, I call them, the contrarian conservatives never talk about what a master troll it is because the media has to cover it. They have to cover it. So that's the Caitlin Collins wandering around the White House, narrating what's underneath those plaques. They look like true social posts. They read like true social posts. For some of her listeners, it's the first time they've ever heard commentary like that on Joe Biden. It's brilliant branding and brilliant trolling, and I'm here for it. And the next president can change it. If you don't like it, the next guy will change it. Like, I don't understand the whole thing of anybody criticizing Trump for doing anything that's below the dignity of the office. Hello, where have you been? Hello? I don't understand people who think that Trump is suddenly going to become another person overnight. He's literally the same person today that he was when he ran in 2016. And even the same guy that you can watch pop up in Home Alone 3 or whatever movies he was popping up in the 90s. Guys, seriously. All right. My next favorite Trump troll. Oh, Canada is the 51st state, or trying to make Canada the 51st state. Here we go.
We lose $200 billion a year with Canada. That's because we allow them to make cars. We allow them to take lumber. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their food products because we make the same products right on the other side of the border. It's sort of crazy. So we've just allowed that.
Wait, is Trump wearing a quarter zip in this?
Allowed it over the last 4 years.
I've got a quarter zip on in this. It's the first time I noticed that.
So we take care of their military. You know, we're going to order about 40 Coast Guard big icebreakers, big ones. And all of a sudden, Canada wants a piece of the deal. They say, why are we doing that? I mean, I like doing that if they're a state, but I don't like doing that if they're a nation. So we'll see how it all works out. I would love to see Canada be the 51st state. The Canadian citizens, if that happened, would get a very big tax cut, tremendous tax cut, because they're very highly taxed. And you wouldn't have to worry about military. You wouldn't have to worry about many of the things. You have better health coverage.
As a former Canadian who I don't have a lot of love for the nation of Canada. As a former Canadian, I got to tell you, this is one of my favorite troll moments of 2025, or maybe ever. I cannot tell you how, unless you are in Canada or you understand Canadians, you have no idea how angry they were. You have no idea. This is what my mother broke up with our family over. This is what my own mother went no contact with her old family over, right? This is when If you haven't heard that story, go find it on my Instagram. But my mom back in June went no contact with our family. We haven't heard or seen from her since. I promise you, we have not heard from her since. Not a peep. Not even at Christmas. Not even at Christmas. The hippie boomers, there's something wrong with them. So it's a lot more than Trump. I get that. Anyways, but that was the inciting incident after, a lifetime of us having a, a decent relationship and me always making sure that we had a relationship. My mom's not really into being a mom or grandparent. She's one of them. But, she's not a woman of faith and I am. And so, I just always felt it was my duty then to keep the relationship alive. But I didn't know that the breaking point was going to be tariffs and threatening to make Canada the 51st state. But I loved the conversation that it opened. And this is what I love about Trump. This is why I picked this moment, because this is what Trump does. He says things that sound crazy. They only sound crazy because diplomats don't say these things. They only sound crazy because they're the sort of things that people in power don't say out loud. But when you stop, what I learned to do with Trump is ask, well, is he right? Forget how awkward or cringy it sounds coming out of his mouth. When you hear the statement, first thing you ask, is he right? And I asked myself, why would he be talking about Canada as a 51st state, even just jokingly? He's always trying to get something, advance the ball or advance a conversation. And I think Greenland was the perfect example of this. I have never heard an American politician talk about annexing Greenland or even discuss it as a thing that could happen. Never. But suddenly Trump's talking about it. He's sending over Charlie and Don Jr. to troll the libs and troll the left. But when you dig into it, you realize, oh, crap, China and Russia are squatting in Greenland and they're using it. It's a very strategically placed island. And maybe we should own it. At the very least, maybe we should have a stake in it. Suddenly our enemies start rethinking about what they're doing over there. It has consequences to even be chatting about it. And by the way, that's another thing, another concept that Trump brings up that we haven't discussed. The idea that America's borders are what they are and just have to stay that way forever. That doesn't have to be it. The idea that the way this country looks now is the way it's always supposed to look. The progressives have been telling us for 20, 30 years that we're just going to have to get used to this country not looking the way it's always looked. We're going to have to accept more black people, more brown people, more Africans, more Indians. It's a mosaic, and you white people out there are just going to have to deal with it. But when we suggest, well, maybe our borders don't have to look the way they've always looked either, then we're the colonists, we're the bad ones. But maybe, maybe they don't. Who says North America has to look this way? Didn't always look this way. Who says it has to stay looking this way? Trump floats something and suddenly people from Alberta are going, but what if? But what if? And I'll tell you what, it only takes one visionary to make a what if a has been. I don't know. That was like, this is what I think visionaries do. They make you think of things differently. They make you look at problems differently. Love what Trump does or hate what Trump does. I have to say that before this term in particular, there was a lot of stuff I would have looked at and said, it just can't be done. And now I don't think that about anything and I refuse to. California, are you listening to me? I refuse to. The California Republican Party, I refuse to say, I refuse to take any more. This, just can't be done. This is not how it's done. So the whole trolling Canada thing, it has a dual purpose. Yes, it's annoying them and it's getting him some movement on his trade deals, is what he was trying to do. But it's also opening some other avenues of prosperity for America and some other ideas for American citizens. Because China's moving in on Canada. Y'all know this, right? China owns most of Canada by now. And if China has done it, why shouldn't we? They're our neighbors. I'm not totally opposed to annexing Canada, but if we annex Canada, then it's got to be like we can't annex all. We got to leave Ontario to its own devices. They're gone. That's where their capital is. And so that's where all the craziest people are. Can't annex BC, all the lunatics out there on the coast. But yeah, I think Alberta, I think we should see. I think we should look more closely at it. Again, we're like 83 crises beyond the Greenland/Canada thing. But that's life in the golden age. All right, let's go to my next pick for Trump troll. It's this one. This is pretty relevant, folks. Mamdani in the Trump Oval Office after winning the election for mayor of New York. And I'll just play it and I'll tell you why I picked it.
Thanks, Mr. President. Do you view the mayor-elect as the true leader of the Democrat Party? And do you think we should lead after he's got the follow?
Well, look, I hope they have great leaders. This is a man that right now I think is focused in New York City. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats. I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City. I keep my horizons firmly on New York City, and I appreciate the meeting with the president, which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal. I always said, one of the things I would love to be someday is the mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now.
He doesn't say these things on accident. I don't know if he's saying it because he really thinks he's going to be the mayor of New York City someday. I mean, he's an old man now. But I don't think he was saying that on accident. I think perhaps that is a callback to something they've discussed. I picked this moment for a lot of reasons, not the least of which being Mamdani is scary. Not because he's scary. He's an idiot. He's a useful idiot. He's not very intelligent. He's not very savvy, but he works for intelligent and savvy people, right? The Muslim state, really. He's a flag being planted in New York. I just remember Rush Limbaugh. I remember this after 9/11. And the Muslims put in an application to put a mosque at Ground Zero. And they let him. It's not at Ground Zero, but there's one close by. And Rush said then you can't let this happen. And we were having this huge argument in this country about whether or not we should be letting in Muslim immigrants. And we flooded the gates because, we had to prove to everyone that we were not racist. George Bush did that to us. George Bush gave us the religion of peace. He did that to us. And now look. And I remember Rush saying then, do not let them plant a mosque, because in Islam, planting a mosque is planting a flag. That you plant a mosque on a place where you have had a victory. You're saying that they have conquered New York City. I am worried for New York City, but there's nothing I can do for you. I got my own problems here in California. So good luck to you. That's all I can say. But I did find this moment interesting because a couple of reasons. I love watching the body language. I love the behavior panel guys, Chase Hughes and Scott and Mark. I love all of you guys. And I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. So now, obviously, because I watch all their YouTube videos, I'm pretty sure I'm a body language expert. And I was watching Mamdani when he was in that office, and he doesn't look sure of himself. And I went over to Blue Sky right afterwards. I wanted to see what the liberals were saying. And of course, they were like, oh, he owned Trump. Just hilarious. He owned Trump, and they were isolating some of the pictures of Trump, like patting him and looking up and oh, look how much he really charmed Trump. And I found it interesting. Hey, it's like, wow, progressives don't understand men at all. They do not. It made me feel sad for them, actually, that they were looking at that body language and that dynamic, and they were going, oh, look how much Trump loves Mamdani. Mamdani really charmed him. And all I see in that body language is a little boy standing next to his dad, sitting in the big chair. He looks like everybody else looks standing next to Trump, right? And he's holding his hands in front of him, like protecting himself. He's unsure. He's got that weird half little smile, like there's more I want to say, but I can't because I'm not in my house and this is technically my boss. And when Trump gives him the opportunity to say something bold, he doesn't take it. And sweating. I mean, I loved the moment because Trump made it a point to really point this to this man as a leader of the Democrat Party. And he has also been doing that, and so have the rest of the Republicans with Jasmine Crockett. He made it a point to say, hey, this guy's a young guy. He's running the biggest city in the world. I mean, he even said in that meeting, he said, you know what, Zoran, I got world leaders coming to this office every day. The press doesn't line up for them the way they lined up for you. They're here to see you. They're here to see you. You're exciting. You're the exciting one. The blue sky idiots think that Trump is charmed by Mamdani and wants to get next to him. Those of us who have some actual life experience understand that what Trump was doing is setting up Mamdani as a leader of the Democrat Party. That's what we would like. Republicans would like nothing more than to run against naked socialism in 2026. Because they're already struggling in the personality department. So that would be very helpful to them. And I think it's a troll, and it's a damn good one. As for what's going to happen to you, New York City, you've been conquered. Is it too late? Is it too late to drive the Muslim hordes back? I don't know. But you're going to have to get uncomfortable. And I just don't know if you have the will. I don't know if any of you guys are left there to do that work. I don't know. Let's not bring it too far down because it is New Year's. All right. I got to get down to the park because I got to get some champagne, and it's going on right now. So let's get to this final point. Here's the final thing. The final troll moment of 2025. In my estimation, I think it is this Kilmar Abrego Garcia kerfuffle. I'll bring you back to Bukele sitting in the office a while back now, and some things have happened obviously since then, but I'm going to still tell you why this is one of my top Trump troll moments.
I mean, the question is, how can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
Inside or something.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world. But that's not going to happen.
I understand that a lot has happened with that guy, right? Like, is he in jail? Is he out of jail? Is he getting deported? Not getting deported? I think he's out making TikToks right now. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Don't even worry about it. Because the damage has been done. Once again, the same thing. He did the same thing there they did with the cancer stuff. I could do, I could do anything, and the Democrats, I could cure cancer, and the Democrats will protest. He made them become activists for a murderer and a rapist and a gang member, an illegal alien. Meanwhile, we are all still fresh off of 4 years of COVID, lockdowns and oppression, and us begging for help from our own politicians and them ignoring us while they let illegals run their illegal, fruit stands and food stands and their illegal businesses and cross the border with no vaccines. And to me, that story, actually, that troll was so much bigger than that one guy. It was about forcing Democrats to show us just who they are. And they've done that. Now, Trump's got to show us who he is and who the Republicans are to win 2026. But he's done an effective job of making I don't know how else to say it, just making the Dems show their asses. They just been showing their entire asses for 2025. And ultimately, it's a good thing. Ultimately, it'll be a good thing for us because we're purging, we're pruning. But man, we've taken some heavy losses this year. We've taken some heavy losses. And I got to say this before I let you go. 26, I've gotten actually, the end of 2025 has turned out to be really great for me. And I've got some new things popping off in 2026 with new opportunities. And I'm seeing a lot of new people find me. And that's great. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it because I'm done raising my kids now. And so I get to spend a little more time focusing on me and my career. And that's exciting to me. So I get to do fun stuff that I couldn't do even 5 years ago, even 2 years ago. And I'm looking forward to that. I hope you'll take the journey with me. That being said, I want to say this. I've never been more convinced that we are in a miraculous time. and that we have a president who's a man of his time. And I've never been more convinced that we stand on the precipice of something great for America. I always thought from the moment Trump took the inauguration podium and announced the beginning, the dawn of a golden age, I thought that was perfect. That I think that is what is coming. And I also think that is why they are fighting so hard. We are at war. We need to be able to celebrate the end of war at some point. But half of us don't even know we're in it. And I think we literally are at war. These people are lurking. They've set up entire cities and towns in our states. They've taken over our local governments. They're sitting there waiting for this era to end so that they can finish the takeover. China owns land around our military bases. It wasn't an accident that all those years you were screaming for help and paying your taxes. They were letting criminals roam free and also letting criminals do business on the street while they taxed you out of your business. That was on purpose. That was on purpose. It was war. It was an attack. So 2026, I think a few things have to happen. Everybody needs to get in on the game. Go buy my book. I wrote it in 2022, and I have to say, and I'm going to start doing this in 26. I'm going to take excerpts from the book and start re-releasing them. I got to say, I was prescient. Again, another one of those things, the book just dropped in obscurity. Holy cow. No, holy shit. I got to go. Like, you read that book, and you're going to see, like, wow, Kira was calling it in 2022. In 2022, I was telling you, we're at war, and everyone needs to get in the game right now. And you got to figure out what you can do where you are. How do you deport 30 million people? By making every single American a soldier. Let me say that again for the clips. How do you deport 30 million people? By making every single American a soldier. ICE has set up a hotline for you to call childcare.gov. If you've got a fraudulent daycare need near you, childcare.gov. If you live in a blue state, call it anyway. I live in California. It's not that the state doesn't know that they're here. The state's even deliberately funding them. It is a wealth transfer. Okay. But when you call, you get it on record. Who knows which of you is going to be the next David out there? Nick Shirley's David. Who knows which one of you is going to be the next David? Just get on the record. And if you make a post on X and it only gets 20 likes, leave it there, though. It gets to live there. Thanks, Elon. It gets to live there. And so then someday somebody's going to be searching a word or a hashtag and your post will come up and they'll be like, holy cow, people ignored this. How are we going to get this country back on track in 3 short years when the Democrats have taken 30 years to ruin it? By making every American a soldier. Every good American a soldier. You're a soldier in the battle now. In 2026, you're a soldier. But be a fabulous one. This is what I'm saying. We don't all have to be on the battlefront where we're all like dirty and muddy and stuff. I don't want to be on that part of the battlefield. I want to be more like, you know, in charge of, I like doing media and maybe also fashion and maybe some of the gossip stuff. We're going to need a lot of gossip columns in the golden age, I think, because we're going to see a resurgence of Hollywood and the arts and in an exciting way. So we're going to need people who are going to talk about it and look fabulous doing it. Maureen Callahan, call me. We're going to need lots more troublemakers in the new era. I'm a certified troublemaker. But you know what? In 2026, here's my goal: to go into 2026, to not be afraid to say exactly what I'm thinking and to not be afraid to look fabulous whenever I want to. That's the other thing. You see this? I'm going down. There's a bunch of little snotty kids in the pocket park at the end of the block. They're grilling hot dogs. I'm going to go down just like this because I feel like it. It's 2026 and I'm 51 and I don't know how long the golden age is going to last. And I don't know when Jesus is coming back. And I don't know if America is going to make it or not. So I'm going to live it up today while I still have the chance. And I think you should too. I want you to go follow all my stuff. Follow me here on X at Kira Davis. Follow me on Instagram at Just Kira Davis, JUST Kira Davis. Go to justkiradavis.com. That's where my podcast lives. I have a Christmas podcast. Me and Amelia do a Christmas podcast. We have so much fun over there. It's called Journey to Christmas Land. And you can find that on all my stuff as well. I actually cross-post that to my YouTube channel as well, which Amelia doesn't like. She doesn't like that because I'm too political, and Journey to Christmas Land is not political. Not that, I mean, we're simpatico. That's one of my besties right there. We're simpatico, but she gets like a little nervous, but that's because she's cute. But I'm a little older than her and I'm menopausal, and they took Charlie from us. They took Charlie from us in 2025, and I will tell you this, I'm really struggling. I'll share this with you before we go. I feel crazy saying it, but I keep saying it. I don't know, maybe the Lord just has this on my heart. I'm really struggling with leaving Charlie in 2025 because he's just been so real and so present up until this year. He's just been a part of everything. He, again, I always feel like I have to qualify this because I don't want anyone to accuse me of trying to make more of my relationship with him than it was. But I always want to qualify that I had plenty of criticism for Charlie over the years, but always a deep respect. And he was always there. There was always Charlie clips, Charlie events, Charlie comments, troll Charlie accounts on X. He just, maybe I will run into him at Fox News. He was just part of it. And we're all going to move into 2026 and he's going to stay in 2025 and he's never going to be. I mean, that's it. We have to say goodbye to him in 2025. And I didn't appreciate all of the work he did for us until he was gone, and I know I'm not the only one. I didn't get a lot of it because I'm too old, just old enough to be Charlie's mom. Well, when they took Charlie, I thought they would do the same to my son. They would do the same to all of our sons. And so that's when I decided that I'm not in the mood to persuade anymore, and I'm not in the mood to be nice about things anymore, and I don't care what it sounds like. I don't even care what other Christians think it sounds like. I'll do my work with God like always. But we sent the best. I said this on David Webb's show yesterday, and I'll say it again to you. We sent you the best. We sent you Charlie. We sent you free speech and kindness and intelligence. We sent you patriotism. We sent you the best. We sent you Charlie. We sent you our best, and you killed him. And so now you'll get our very worst and you'll choke on it. And that's who Kira's going to be in 2026. But don't get it twisted because there's a lot of laughs and a lot of excitement coming in 2026. And I just wanted to take a moment to think about what we lost and what we're leaving in 2025. And I don't want, I owe it we lost my niece 3 years ago. She was 32. She was Charlie's age. We lost her. She was the mom. And every Christmas, I always make sure to say her name out loud, Tiffany. I always make sure to say her name out loud, just so we remember and that it's there and it's spoken and we don't forget. And so, we're going to be leaving him in 2025. And I just wanted to take a moment to say his name out loud and to say, like, recognize that. And to say, I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him in a lot of the ways that I didn't even think I cared about. I'm going to miss him. And I'm really sorry, Charlie, that we couldn't get the job done for you. And that you had to go out and put yourself at risk for something that maybe my generation should have been doing for you. I'm really sorry about that. I'm sorry, Erica. But I think we've all learned a lot. I know I have. And I really do want to make sure that it's not going to happen again. To our very best. So, all right. Sorry to bring it down like that at the end. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for everything. And, we're leaving, new Charlie in 2025, but we'll always take the spirit of Charlie with us into the future. I believe that. And I believe we have got an incredible 2026 ahead of us. I do. I believe Scott Besson in particular. I love seeing him out there. I believe him when he says we're about to turbocharge. I believe that President Trump has not done all of this planning for all of these years to exact, revenge just to come back and forget about everything. I know I want to see arrests. I want to see perp walks. I want to see everything. There's still time for that, and I believe it's coming. I do. I do believe this country is on the precipice of something precedented, excuse me, and incredible. And it's amazing that we get to go into 250 together. I wish Charlie was coming with us, but we'll all be together. I'm going to be in DC for 250 this year, and I hope I'll see you there. We're living in the golden age. I think 2026 is going to end up being really great for us. So for those of us who made it through 2025, congratulations. You did it. And for those of us who are not looking forward to 2026, I just want to say, keep your head up and don't give up, because you never know when the thing that you've been fighting for is actually going to pull through. You never know when that victory, it could just be on the other side. If you give up too soon, you're not going to see it. So don't give up. Don't give up. Promised land is just ahead. I'm Kira Davis. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, laugh with you, yell at you for all of 2025. And I can't wait to see more of you and from you, citizen journalists out there in 2026. God bless you. And God bless America.